once again to the Film ReVision finale extravaganza, the best of 1983. We're getting ever closer to the end of our journey, and we're here now to pick the runners-up for our best film of the year, the number 2 films for each of us. Once again, my guests, Sunny Sarkar and Abby Leaf. Sunny Sarkar from the episode that we did on Testament, and Abby Leaf from the episode we did on The Right Stuff. They're the guests that you brought back here with your views and your votes on YouTube. So now I turn to them and ask them what they feel like their number 2 film of 1983 was. Miss Leaf, why don't we start with you?
Well, you're not going to like it, but it is Terms of Endearment. I really enjoyed this movie. I think probably the things that you didn't like about it were the things that I did.
Well, we talked a little about like the difference. I think we talked about it on camera. Like there's a gender thing. Because I hear clapping, but I think it's girls clapping, and I think there's a gender thing. Maybe Sunny disagrees, but I definitely feel disconnected with this movie, which I love. But I'm frustrated with this movie for his efforts to try and like make it into a sitcom, or first 3/4 of it into a sitcom.
But I think that's what I liked about it, was it wasn't complete. Like, you take something like Testament, which was just complete downer the whole time. And this was like, it was a little bit of everything, you know? I laughed, I cried, it was better than Cats.
That was where it came from, you'll laugh, you'll cry. That came from Terms of Endearment.
Yeah, it was, yeah I don't know. And
it's come to laugh, come to cry, come to terms.
And, and I think the performances, you can't overlook the performances.
It's funny, the performance that I like the most is the one performance that was not nominated. I think Jeff Daniels is the real performance in this movie.
Jeff Daniels was good.
I have most problems with Jack Nicholson. I loathe Jack Nicholson in this movie. He's just being Jack Nicholson. I don't think he
that
deserves
was
an
how
Oscar
I felt
for
about
that
it.
performance. That's really insane to me. The women, I feel similarly about the movie. Like, I feel like there's some really good moments for each of them, and there's some false moments for each of them. Some of which I feel like are direction, some of which, more in Deborah Winger's case, I feel like of her just like making too many choices, like sometimes going a little too quirky for that's really effective. But that's another story altogether. Sunny, I'm going to turn to you. Number 2 film of 1983.
Year Living Dangerously. I thought it was a great movie. I think it's like timeless. Like Brad Pitt could play that role Mel Gibson played today, and he would do well. I mean, it's like a timeless movie. That movie can be played, you know.
I mean, it's funny. I didn't really understand the film, like the narrative of the film. I didn't really get who was who in terms of, there were so many groups, rival groups, and I'm usually pretty good about this stuff, but I was really confused at who was communist. Like, the political landscape was unclear in this movie to me, and maybe it would have been more clear to an audience in 1983. But I felt lost most of the movie. And I don't consider myself to be a moron. So I mean, like, I wish there was a little more exposition there. I don't know.
We could also Wikipedia.
But I mean, I think the movie should stand alone, I think is the point. But then again, the events it took place in 1965, so maybe to a 1983.
But I don't think the movie was about what happened in 1965, but it's about how people were dealing with what happened. You know, and
I understand, but,
it was like
by doing that, by not understanding what was going on, I didn't understand what they were dealing with. You know? Well,
it's like saying, like, in The Big Chill, if you don't know anything about the 60s, The Big Chill is going to be like silly to you. You're not going to get a lot out of The Big Chill, right?
Well, I mean,
I hate to say it like this, but that's really your ignorance rather than the filmmakers.
You knew a lot about the 1965 like revolution and.
Well, I Wikipedia'd it and I just read up a lot of these movies. I just read up about, like,
beforehand or after.
After.
Okay.
And then, like, I actually watched that movie again, The Year of Living Dangerously. I watched it again just because I wanted to get a lot of it back. So
there's definitely a lot going on in the movie. There is a lot of detail in the movie, and there is a lot of great filmmaking. I definitely felt detached from it, but. All right, so my number 2 film of the year, it's another comedy, and it was my big discovery of the year. I did not have very high expectations for this film, and I had not seen it before. I chose Educating Rita as my number 2 film of the year. The way it was concocted and executed, I mean, it's a great story to be sure, and a lot of great dialogue, but it really explores a lot of intense issues. Like, we talked about the feminism, and I think her journey is great, and also, the class system issue, it resonates throughout this movie, but it does so in a very lighthearted, amusing, entertaining way. Never feels heavy-handed. I mean, it allows you to reach your own conclusions. And I gushed earlier about Julie Walters. I mean, I think her performance is a really driving force in this movie, and it makes the movie transcend what it normally would have been. I think it's really, really strong. So. I know you liked Educating Rita. It was on your top 5. Anything?
I liked it. I didn't make my top 5, but.
Yeah. All right, so once again, our number 2 films were The Year of Living Dangerously, Terms of Endearment, and Educating Rita. So, one more to go. Next up will be the number 1 film of 1983. Our choices, you don't want to miss that. It's going to be hot. Next on the Film ReVision finale, Best of 1983. We will see you soon.